Today, let's take a dive into IREN. So I got some comments asking about this one, so I decided I would take a look at it and do a bit of a deeper dive into what's going on here with IREN. I've been talking about the chart here in previous videos, and this video is going to be dedicated solely to IREN. Now, of course, this is not financial advice, nor a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any assets whatsoever. They are also my personal opinions after reviewing the available data and information that I have at hand. And um, feel free to disagree with me. Feel free to correct me if I've gotten anything wrong or you have arguments about it. So let's dive into IREN. I've talked about the chart before and how it's not looking super bullish at this moment in time. So let's take a look at, so there's a couple of things I like about IREN as well as a few things that I really don't like about IREN. And I'll bring up both of those and you can come to your own conclusions about what you think about those things. So if we go to Compass Mining, now this is for January. Of course, we're in March now, but that update hasn't come out yet for February. So I'm still looking at January data. So it is old. Keep that in mind. There's one thing immediately that I don't like about IREN that I'm going to point out, and it's right here. It's that they currently do not hold any Bitcoin. They sell all the Bitcoin that they hold. What that means is if they are not mining profitably, they are going to go out of business really fast. Now, they are fighting that. They're combating that with other things, and we'll talk about that in the future, but this is a red flag to me personally. If that doesn't bother you as an investor, that's your decision to make, and you can come to your own conclusions about that. But for me personally, no treasury of Bitcoin is a red flag and immediately removes a miner from my list of companies I would park my money with. That's just me personally. That's a rule I have. If you don't share that rule, that's totally okay. A different type of investor, different type of assets, you know. So that's the first thing I wanted to mention is that. Now they do have 6 exahash, which is comparable to Bitfarms. They do have a plan to expand to about 20 exahash, put them in that will put them in competition with Bitfarms, with CleanSpark, with Maro, with Riot. So that's actually quite interesting and quite good for them personally. Now let's take a look here. Compass Mining also has an article here about the earnings from the previous quarter, which was ending the financial year 2023. This is a particularly interesting and important graphic right here that I am looking at. So this is how much it cost them to mine a Bitcoin last year, or at least the 3 months ending in December 31st, 2023. And for IREN, it cost them $26,741 to mine a Bitcoin. Not bad. It's a little bit more than CleanSpark, but less than a lot of their competitors out there. So it cost them $26,000 to mine a Bitcoin, which in the current environment leaves them way more than this $36,000 of profit mentioned. It's closer to $50,000 right now. However, keep in mind that starting in just over a month here, this number is going to double to $52,000 if they do not find a way to mine more cheaply or more efficiently or get cheaper electricity. So this is going to go to $52,000, meaning if Bitcoin dips below $52,000, they're going to be in trouble. Especially since they don't hold any Bitcoin they mine for $26,000. And that's a problem. That's why it's a big red flag to me that a company that mines Bitcoin wouldn't hold Bitcoin, especially leading into the halving. Right now, they're mining what will be considered excessively cheap Bitcoin come a month from now, because a month from now it's going to immediately double in terms of how much it costs them to mine that Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's price is going to have to stay above. Well, actually, it's going to have to stay above about $53,000 in order for IREN to continue to make a profit and stay solvent in that market. For CleanSpark, it would need to stay above $40,000 in order for them to continue to make some type of profit on it. Now, I don't imagine Bitcoin crashing that far going into a bull run, but you never know. You never know, and I like to hedge my bets as much as I can. So that's important to know. Now let's go down here. We can look at They have a little bit for IREN down here. IREN's actually not got a bad current ratio. They got good assets compared to liabilities. Let's go down to, where's IREN? Balance sheet strength. Do. There it is. IREN. Sorry, took a little moment there. So, yeah, they're going to expand. So they've made initial payments for miners to increase their hash rate from 6.2 to 11. So they're going to nearly double it very, very soon here. They're also going to, they made a 10% deposit of 12 million down towards more Bitmain T21s. I believe those were the better ones, the better miners. They've got like the 190 terahash per miner. Anyways, they have put a down payment towards an towards an option to getting enough miners to get them up to 20 exahash, which is more than triple their current exahash, which would keep them competitive, assuming that their electricity costs stay low enough to make this still profitable. So that's important to know. That's really good to know. The other thing that they are doing is high capacity computing. And if you have seen this acronym before, that's AI. That's AI servers that they want to run. Now, I have lambasted Bit Digital for this exact same undertaking in the past. However, they proved me wrong. They executed wonderfully. They are making money off of their AI side of the business already, and IREN it has clearly taken notes from that, and they too are going to implement this as an extra revenue stream into their business. And I think that this here doesn't necessarily um, undo my opinions about them not holding any Bitcoin, but it definitely makes it less impactful to me personally that they don't hold any Bitcoin since they're going to have additional streams of revenue going forward once they implement this part of their business. So that is actually good. And yes, I know on this channel before I have absolutely come in hot and mad at Bit Digital for diverting Bitcoin to pursue this type of a business, but they have executed on it. They've proved me wrong, and I'm very happy that they proved me wrong now these days. And seeing that it is successful enough that other Bitcoin miners are replicating that same move means that it's working and that they feel confident in their ability to establish themselves in that market as well. So that's really good for IREN. So they're going to have 20 exahash plus an AI side of the business. That's not bad, Knack. All right. Anyways, if you know that, you know that stupid, terrible video. The other thing that is a bit of an issue with IREN is this right here. So this is a Form F3. So this is a shelf offering that they filed back in September 13th, 2023. Now, this hasn't taken effect yet, and I'll show you how we know that here in a moment, but they have proposed a potential sale of up to $500 million of ordinary shares into the market. So basically dilution. And the issue I have with that is, let's say that, so they filed that back in September when their market cap was $260 million. So they literally were going to take more than double their current market cap at the time and add it on top in terms of shares. That's quite dramatic. Okay. Currently, the market cap is at $500 million, so that they would be adding, they would just be doubling the amount of shares that they currently have outstanding, basically making your shares worth half what they currently are if they were to fully dilute to what they have filed for. That doesn't mean that they will. I'll repeat that. That does not mean that they will. And we'll go and look at the shares outstanding here in a moment to see that they haven't actually done that yet. But that is hanging over your head as an investor in IREN, that they could at any once this gets full approval, just like what was it with Bitfarms here the other week. Once that gets fully approved and they start doing it, yeah, that could be a bit of a wrench in the works here for that large price appreciation that we're all looking for. So that's just something to keep in mind. It's not like a death cross or anything, but it is it's there, it's present. So they have started a little bit, it looks like. So they've diluted a little bit since September. So let's see, December, yeah. So December 2022, they had 53 million. They currently have 72 million shares. So there has already been some dilution since that filing in September in the form of 37% increase in shares. They do have a lot more in the tank that they can fire off there, though, if they need cash. And they could do that at pretty much any time. So keep that in mind. Now, that doesn't make them any better or worse than any of the other miners. They're all diluting right now, especially since interest rates are, up over 5%, often much higher, especially for risky businesses like this. So they're obviously not going to do that, nor should they do that. That would be terrible business sense. Uh, but that is something to keep in mind. Um, One more thing I'd like to talk about with IREN is they are actually doing worse than their competitors right now. So uh, IREN's the one in red down here at minus 28.94% over the last month. Mara has performed equally bad, honestly. They're down 22.94% over the last month, while CleanSpark is up 6%, and Bitcoin's smashing them all at 40.66%. And I bet you if I were to add, can I add on here very easily? If I were to add MicroStrategy, it would make them all look bad. So let's take a look. Yeah, MicroStrategy currently up almost 150% in the same time period. So that's just a little note of diversification can sometimes be very helpful, because if you were down 29 and 23% respectively for IREN and Mara, if you had offset that with some MicroStrategy, you wouldn't not just not be down, you would be well above break even if you had allocated, even shares to all three. And of course, this is not a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any assets whatsoever. That's just, this is just for entertainment and informational purposes. The other thing with IREN is their ownership. So I'm going to record on my phone here for a minute. I'm going to bring that up here. So if we're on the Sage tracker on the Webull mobile app here, and I'm looking at the institutional holders. So first of all, I guess I recognize Van Eck and Two Sigma. They are, well, I don't really know exactly what Van Eck is, but I recognize the name. Two Sigma is a hedge fund. Um, Morgan Stanley, yeah, I know that name. Jane Street, yeah, I've read that before. BlackRock is on there, but they're all the way down. They're not even in the top like 10, it doesn't look like. They own 0.38% of the company. They've invested a whole $1.8 million into it, and the highest institutional owner here owns $18 million worth of it, which is less than 1% of the portfolio. No, no, three, less than 4% of the portfolio. Let me just confirm that. Yeah, BlackRock is 0.38%. And this Platinum Investment Management, whoever they are, they own 3.7% of the company. Now let's take a look at their company profile real quick here, again on the Webull mobile app. So they have 9% insiders and 4% holding company. Those two things concern me a little bit, just because that is over 13% of the company that is held by insiders, or a holding company that could, if incentivized by a high price, dump shares on us to a dramatic effect. A 14% drop. Not that they're going to do it in a day. They definitely likely wouldn't, but that's another one of those things hanging over your head to be concerned about and be aware of, so that it doesn't surprise you if it does happen. Because, like, as we've seen before plenty of times with the miners, that they'll crash 30-40% just to come right back, and go even higher. So keep it in mind. It's just something to think about. Institutions do invest 32% into the company. Our institutions, 54% others. That's retail. That's us. So that's just a few. There's a few red flags with IREN for me personally, that keep me out of it, and that namely is the lack of holding Bitcoin. Um, Now, the 10% plus insiders and holding company ownership is not a deal breaker. That's just something that makes me take pause and think about it and look a little deeper before I would invest. They've also got the shelf offering that they have not used all of yet. They still have a good amount of shares they could still dilute on you based on this filing from September. So that's still there, that's still present. And then on the good things, they are mining Bitcoin as some of the most efficient miners of Bitcoin right now. Iris right here on this page here, per 1 exahash of mining capacity, they are mining over 60 Bitcoin. There are only there are only 4 other miners achieving that, public miners that are achieving that. There's only 2 that are doing slightly, ever so slightly better than them, and that's Bitfarms and Sato. Those are the only 2 doing slightly better than Iris in terms of their efficiency of mining. So they are highly efficient. That's one thing that's really important. They are mining Bitcoins cheaper than most of their competitors at 26,000, which will soon be about $53,000 per Bitcoin starting in April that they are mining. They are increasing their hash rate dramatically, over threefold, keeping them competitive. That's also really, really good. They are also expanding their business, getting multiple revenue streams to make up for that lack of holding Bitcoin in the AI space, which is really hot right now. And they are likely following a roadmap laid down by Bit Digital, who has successfully started that AI business and are collecting millions in revenue. Okay, it was 4 million last in February, but millions, it's still plural, in revenue from a business that they just started up. So, and IREN is going to be doing that as well. So there's kind of an even balance of good and bad there. I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible. So for me personally, I would personally pass, just because they're not holding a Bitcoin thing that bothers me a little bit too much. Um, but they are efficient. They are expanding their revenue streams. They are expanding their mining fleet, and their chart isn't the worst thing I've ever seen. Let me reconnect. The chart isn't that bad. There is a bull case in here, especially since they hit the 200-day and went flat. They could bounce off of that and start coming back up out of that, and that would be very nice. So, with that said, please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a profitable day.